Lookup transformation. Today we are going to learn lookup transformation. So lookup transformation is a transformation used in Informatica to load the data into the target table using the lookup table. So from the source, we'll look into the lookup table, and from the data from the source and lookup table, the data will be loaded into the target table, and we have to validate that the data loaded from the source and lookup table is properly loaded into the target table. So here what happens in lookup transformation, there are two tables. One is what? The source table. Another is what? The lookup table. Both tables we need to get the data from the both the tables and then compare into the target table. So this is why I have defined as what? Lookup transformation is a transformation used in Informatica to load the data into the target table using the lookup table. Okay, fine. Not only Informatica, others also. So you can just write down generic. Lookup transformation is a transformation used to load the data into the target table using the lookup table. Fine. Now what is the example to illustrate it? Example is load the city into the target table. Load the city into the target table by using source zip code. So this is the particular example I'm telling. You have to load these cities. So these cities, you have to load it into the target table. Okay. This is the source. This is the lookup table, and this is what is the target table. Okay. So what is the load this city? City is where? City is in the city table. Okay. The name of this table is nothing but your city table. Okay. So load the city. Okay. These cities, load it into where? Into the target table using the zip codes. That is what is the requirement. Load the city into target table using the zip codes. Okay. Now fine. Now guys, as I have told you, there are three things always in lookup table. First will be the source. Next will be your lookup table. Last will be your target. So the question here is, the example here is, you have to load these cities into the target table using what? Using the source. Means there is a source table, and we'll look it into the lookup table, and from the lookup table, the cities will be loaded into the target table. This is the requirement. Once again, for lookup transformation, there are three things. First is source table. Next is lookup table. Next is target table. Okay, fine. Now, after we have understood there is a source table, there's a lookup table, there's a target table. The next thing what we have to understand is what are the name of the tables. The name of the source table is nothing but your customer. The name of your lookup table is nothing but your city. The name of your target table is nothing but your customer dim. Now we have to load these cities into the target table, and the joining column is nothing but your zip code. So zip code is the joining column. We have to match the zip codes from the source to the lookup table and load this city into the target table. That is what is the requirement. From the source, we'll look into the lookup table and load the data into the target table. That is what is lookup transformation. Everywhere they will ask what is lookup transformation. The lookup transformation is a transformation where we load the data from the source to the target using which table? Using lookup table. Okay. So simply you can tell what is lookup transformation. Lookup transformation, a transformation is used to load the data in the target table using which table? Using which table? Lookup table. Here we are going to load the data from the source, all this data from the source, this name, ID, all these things, zip code, from the source to the target using which table? Using the lookup table. So now we are going to do the validations for the lookup table. So how can we validate the data from the source to the target? So can you just think of the first query? How can we validate? What will be the first query? First, we have to validate what? Count validation. So how can we do the count validation?
Select count employee number.
Select what?
Select count of
what? ID.
ID
ID is a unique column. So count of ID from which table?
from source table.
Source table name is what?
Customer.
Customer.
Suppose I have taken suppose customer C. Okay, C1 I have written the name. Now, then we have to take the data from where? From the city table. So
City
comma
table.
city table
Select.
now. City. Now I have to give what? The name as C2. This is C1 and this is C2. Now I have to join these tables. Yes. So how can I join? This is comma. Which is the joining column here, guys? C1 and C2. Which is the joining column? Where C1 dot what? Zip code equals to what? C2 dot zip code. Yes or no? Yes. Are you able to understand? Now,
Yes.
what will be the output of this particular query? I am counting the ID. So this count of ID, suppose I am taking from which table? C1 table. So C1 dot ID I have to write. The count of ID from customer table. This is what? C1 table. And I have written the name of customer C1 from C2 table. C2, I have written the name as C2. CT table, I have written the name as C2. Okay. After that, what is happening? Where I have to join these two tables. What is the joining condition? Zip code. What is the joining condition? Let's tell me what is the joining condition? Zip
Based
code.
on the column
Zip
zip
code.
code.
Which is the column? Zip code column. This is the joining condition. Okay. Zip code. So you have to see. I told you to join two tables. We always have to see what? Which are the data which are common. Here, zip
Common.
codes are common.
Yes.
So this is the joining condition. So where C1 dot zip code equals to C2 dot zip code. And what will be the output of this query? 3. Yes or no? 3 places it is matching 40, 40, 44, 44, 80, 80. And for that, what is the count of ID? 1, 2, 3. The output of this particular query will be what?
3.
So output of source is nothing but your 3. Now the query at the target side. What will be the query at the target side? Can you just tell me?
Vikiran, can you give me the recording access again? I have to open.
Sure. Guys, what will be the query in the target side? Can you just tell me?
Select count of
Select count of the target table.
employee.
Count of what? Count of
ID.
Unique
ID.
column. From which? What is the name of the target table?
Customer underscore D.
T.
And what will be the output?
3.
Count is matching. Now comes what? Data validation. Do you remember that? Yes.
Yes.
So yeah. So tell me what will be the query for the data validation? Can you just think? First, we have to select the columns. Which column? First, suppose
ID.
C1 dot
ID,
ID. Then comma
comma name,
Name.
C1 dot name
C1
comma
dot zip code
C1 dot zip code
dot zip code
from customer,
from
From
customer.
customer C1 comma city. I wanted city also, so I want that also in the column, in the select column. So what I should write? C2 dot what? City
city,
from customer C1 comma city C2. Yes. Where what? If I have to join both the tables, what I have to write? Where C1 dot zip code equals to what?
C2 dot.
C2 dot zip code.
Guys, I'm getting just some disturbance. Please mute the system. Whoever is making the disturbance. Yes. Guys, just I wanted to tell you, I want now the data validation. Which are the columns in the target? First is ID. ID is coming from which table? Customer column. So C1 dot ID. Then I wanted name. Name is what? C1 dot name. Then I wanted what? Zip code. What is that? C1 dot zip code. Fine. Now this city, this is coming from which column, which table? This is coming from city table. And then I have to write what? C2 dot city from customer C1 comma city C2, where C1 dot zip code equals to C2 dot zip code. This is the column. And then what is the complete query? Minus what? Select ID, comma, name, comma,
Zip code.
Comma, city.
City.
From which table?
Target table.
What is the name of the target table? Customer
Customer beam.
Customer underscore dim.
Then what will be the output of this query, guys?
No record.
No records found. Now I have to check what? Duplicate validation. Can you tell me how can I check the duplicate validation for the ID column in the target table? What will be the query?
Select ID, comma,
ID.
count of ID
Count of ID,
from customer
customer dim table. Okay.
group by
Customer dim. Okay. Group by what?
ID
ID.
having
Having what?
count of ID greater than 1.
And what should be the output of this?
No record.
This is the almost the all the validation. So I want any null validation. If I wanted to see that city column should not be null, so what I can check next is what? Null validation. If I want to check the null validation, what I can write? Select a star from customer dim,
ID
customer dim,
customer
where city is null,
null.
and output should be no records.
No record found.
And next is what? A negative scenario. If I want to check, what I can write is select star from customer dim where, what if write where city not in, select what? Distinct city from city table. Tell me what is this query? See, this query tells what? This is a negative scenario I'm writing. What is that negative scenario? I have to check what there should not be any record which has not been taken from the city table to the target table. So what I have written, select a star from this target table where city not in, select distinct city from the city. So here all the cities will come. Here all the cities has come. So what if there is no city which is present in the city table and which is not present in this particular table? So output should be what? No record found. See what is happening is there. First subquery, which query will execute, guys? Inner query. What is the output of this query? We'll get what? Bangalore, Chennai, and Hyderabad. Now what will happen? Outer query, select star from this table where city not in this. All the cities are present, it is fine. If any city is not present, that means what? All the cities are not loaded from where? From the lookup table to the target table. That means that will be a bug. But the output should be what? No records found. And if any record is found, that will be a bug. Did you understood this query? Tell me yes or no.
Yes, sir.
Fine. So this is nothing but your lookup transformation, guys. Lookup transformation is what? First, you have to understand what is lookup transformation. Lookup transformation is a transformation which is used to load the target table using what? Using a lookup table. Suppose I have to load the city into the target table from the source, and the joining column is nothing but your zip code. This is the requirement. First, there is a source table. Let us understand like this. First, there is a source table. Fine. Then what will happen, guys? Then there will be a lookup table. Suppose this is also a source, but it's still lookup table. Let us just put it here. Lookup table. Fine. Now there will be a target table. What is the target table? This is a target table. So we have source table, we have lookup table, we have target table. Now we have to do the validations. So what is the first validation? Count validation. Select, we'll joining these two tables based on the zip code and then counting this ID. So this is one validation, and the output should be output will be 3. And here we will count the IDs. The output will be 3. This is first validation, nothing but your count validation. Next validation, what I wanted, guys, is the data validation. So if we want to validate the data, how will we validate the data? We have to join these two tables and we have to take this column ID, name, zip code, city, and we have to validate it from the target table. And the output should be what? No records found. No record found. So this is the data validation. So data validation, next is data validation. Yeah. After data validation, the next validation is nothing but your null and duplicate. So if I want to validate the duplicate column, I will just write the duplicate query and the output should be no record found. Output should be no record found. Fine, next. Then the next thing we will going to learn is nothing but your, after this duplicate validation, if there is any null value. Okay, if there's a null value, then we'll have to check that particular null, that particular column is null, and the output should be no record found. Last validation is nothing but your guys is what? Negative scenario, that all the cities are loaded from the city column to the target table or not. So this is nothing but your negative scenario, then the output should be no record found. This completes your what, guys? Your lookup transformation. Yes, this completes your lookup transformation. The last and the final, this, are you clear about this lookup transformation? Tell me, guys, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So last and the final transformation, which is asked in interviews and which we will learn, is nothing but your joiner transformation. And after I complete your joiner transformation, this particular thing will be, I don't, this format is changed. Okay. Yeah, then what happened? Your transformation thing will be finished, and then we will go in a separate topic called as what? We'll go in a separate topic called as SCD, slowly changing dimension. Let me just finish. Yeah. This is fine. Now we are going to learn a very fresh and a separate topic called as what, guys? Joiner transformation. It is used to join data of similar type or different type and load the data into the target table. So here we have to join the data of the similar type or different type and then load the data into the target table. So guys, to validate the lookup transformation, always remember we'll go with subquery or joins, and majorly we'll go for the joins. Before I go with the joiner transformation, let me just give you the note. For validation of lookup transformation, we will go with subquery or joins, mainly joins. So this is a note I have given you to validate the lookup transformation. Mainly we go for what? Joins and subqueries, and majorly we'll go with joins. Now, next topic we are going to learn is what? Joiner transformation. Now, guys, joiner transformation is used to join the similar type of data and load it into the target table, or different kind of data and load it into the target table. Similar, what is similar kind of data? Similar means suppose a particular database, okay, in that a particular tables. So joiner transformation means what? Two tables are getting joined and loaded into the target. This is similar kind of data. Next is, this is one approach. Okay. Next is Guys, this is one approach that two tables are there. Join these two tables, 3 tables, 4 tables, and load the data into the target table. This is one approach. Next is what? Different approaches are there. This is table to table validation. I will call it as what? Table to table validation. This is one approach. Next approach I will take is what, guys? The source is a file system and target is a table. So this is the second approach, guys. This is I will write approach 2. We'll go with Excel to Excel validation. Next is approach is what? Excel to Excel validation. What will happen, guys? Here source is a file system and target is a table. Then what we can do? We can load the data into Excel and compare. How we will compare? We will study now. First, let me just write down. This is approach 1. When source is a particular table and target is a particular table. So we'll go with the table to table validation. This is approach 2, Excel to Excel validation. Approach 3, file to file validation. That means what? Source is a file and target is a file. We can validate. This is approach 3. There are so many approaches. We will learn all the approach. Yes. First is very similar and very same kind of thing. Source is also a source is a table. Target is also table. What we do, guys? If source is table, target is table. First we will validate what? Count. Then we'll validate what? Minus using the data validation. Then we'll validate the null, duplicate, and as per the business logic. And as per the what? Guys, tell me. As per the
Business logic.
business logic. This is part A. We are learning that. This is simple. Now here the next approach is, guys, this is very interesting. Source is an Excel and target is also an Excel file. How to validate? How to validate? Fine. Let us just see. Source to source, Excel to Excel validation. So now what we will do is, suppose this is your source table. Let me write it as source. Let me take a fresh Excel so that you can understand neatly. But this is fine. This is fine. Let it be like this. This is a source. Again, yeah, this is a source. Okay, this is source. Fine. Guys, how to split it into different cells? Do you remember? Select that column, data, text to column.
Text to column.
Next, finish.
Hmm.
Yes or no? Yes.
Yes.
Now this particular thing is not required. Just delete this. Yeah. I think this was not selected. Just next. Okay, this is fine. So this is one way. Okay, this is your source data. Fine. Now, this is your target. Suppose this is a target. It can be in the same seat or different seat. Okay, this is called as seat. This is seat 1, seat 2, seat 3, seat 4, seat 5. Are you able to understand? These are called as what? Seat. So this is your source. Okay, guys, I have written source. This is your target. I have written target. Now suppose this data is 0, 1. This is not matching. Now I have to validate the data between source and target. How we will validate, guys? I'll create a separate sheet called as validation. Okay, this is your source, this is your target, and this is not required. This is your validation sheet. What I will do, guys, I will go here and copy this columns, whatever columns I want as per the target. Generally, we start from the beginning to avoid the confusion. To avoid the confusion, we'll always start from the beginning. Let us just put everything in the beginning, source, target, everything, so that there is no confusion. Okay. Let us just select. Yeah, fine. Now I have to validate. So what I have to do, guys, I have to use a keyword. Any formula in Excel, we always have to use equal to. Then we have to write here exact. What we have to write, guys? Exact. Then what I have to do? Text one from the source. From the source, this is the text one. Okay. Comma. Now I have to take from the target. So target, this is the text. Okay. Now close this bracket. Enter. So I got true or not? Tell me yes or no.
Yes.
And how many records are there? Till 17 until H. So see here, H column and 17th record is the last particular data. So I will just drag it. This is H column. Okay. And this is what? 17.
17th row.
What is the place? Now I can put a filter. Where is false, guys? Where is false?
Department.
See, I can
Department
just,
number.
yeah, I can just put a filter, right? See here, filter is there. And I can just check any false. Yes, false is there. Where is that false? I can just check. Okay. So department number H column in the second position, there's a false. That means what? H column, second column, here is the value 1. And here is the value what? 20.
20.
Is it different or not?
Yes.
Yes.
Did you understood Excel to Excel validation?
Yes.
So this was in two separate sheet. It can be used in the same sheet also. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
How will I use in the same sheet? I could have copied everything in where? In the same sheet. I would have copied here only. What I would have done, guys? How to do the validation? Equal to what?
Will do some.
Equal to what? Exact.
Yes,
Remember
exact.
this keyword. Exact.
Of
Then text 1, comma, text 2.
X2.
One is from source, one is from target. Close this bracket. Enter. Yes or no? Until where? I have to see what? Which is the column? First, we can just paste the target columns. Okay. We can just paste the target columns. Okay. Till where? Till the 17th record. So we can just go here and go here till 17th record. What is the output, guys? Only one place is false or not? Tell me yes or no.
Yes.
Did you understood Excel to Excel validation? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So what is the keyword you have to remember, guys?
Exact.
Exact.
Some people uses VLOOKUP. That is also fine. Okay. But you tell what we are using exact to compare the source and the target. This is Excel to Excel validation. Next is file to file validation. That means, guys, what? Now your source is what? File. And target is also what? File. When source is file, target is file, we'll use a file comparison tool called as Beyond Compare. Remember this tool name, Beyond Compare tool. And what we will do, guys, in the source, we will put what? The file. And target, we will put what? File. And we can compare. This is one way. Next thing, guys, you have to also learn. Source is a file, target is a file. Now source is what, guys? Source is file and target is table. Then what will happen, guys? Source is file and target is table. Then what we can do? One approach is what, guys? We will create a temporary table, load the data from the file into the temporary table and do table to table validation. What is one way, guys? What is the one approach? We'll load the data from the file into a temporary table and then we'll do the table to table validation. Did you understood what I'm telling? Source is a file system. That means source is written in a notepad. Okay, this is your source. Now what you have to do, guys, this is your, suppose this is the data are in source, okay, in a file system. So suppose this is your source. Now source is given in file system in a notepad. Target is a table. So how can I do the validation? What I will do, guys, is one way is that bring both them in a file and put a beyond compare tool and do file to file validation. This is one way. This is fine. Next approach. Next approach is, guys, what? We'll take this file and load it into where? Into the, we'll take this file and create a temporary table. How can we create a temporary table? Can you just tell me the query? Create table, table name, any name I have taken, temp, as select star from emp where 1 equals to 2. This means only the structures will be created. Yes or no?
Yes.
And there is a tool called as Toad, tool for Oracle application developer. Tool for Oracle application developer. That is nothing but, guys, like in a car you put a seat cover like that. There's a Toad. Instead of using this SQL plus, there are some better features. We'll use tool, a tool called as Toad, and import the data into the table and then compare. So what you have to tell, guys, first what we will do is we'll create a temporary table using this query and then just tell what, don't tell this one, just tell what, import, we'll import the data into the table and then compare. Are you able to understand? This table is temp. So import the data into the table temp and then compare with what? Compare with the target table. Target table. This is another approach, guys. If you understood this much, tell me yes or no. Tell me yes or no.
Yes, sir.
This is one way. Just there's a feature called as import in the Excel file. In the, even you will use any Oracle software like Toad or SQL plus. Like I'm writing the name SQL developer. Okay, this is used for Oracle. There's a software called as SQL server. Okay, so if you use this one, there are direct option. We just click on import. Okay, and then browse the file location and you can just load the data everywhere in SQL developer or in Oracle. If there's an advanced feature called as stored software is there, you can just click on import and you have to just tell I will import. How to import? Import and give the file location. Browse, you know, browse of images and all, like in Facebook. Similarly,
Yes.
you can just import that particular file and then all the data are now in the table. Target is also table. Do the validation, count, minus, duplicate, null, all those things. Did you understood this particular approach, guys? Tell me yes or no.
No, sir.
You did not understood. Okay, fine. So this much did you understood that this is a source which is a text file. Yes.
Okay.
Now your target is what, guys? Is a table. This is your target. This is your target. This is your target table. Okay. This is your source. Now how will you validate? Now that is my question. How will you validate? This is your source. This is your target. How will you validate? How will you validate? We'll create a temporary table or not? Create table. Then what I have to do? Temporary table. as select star from EMP, where what? 1 equal to 2, what will happen, guys? A temporary table is created or not? Select star from TMP, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Now this table is having the same columns, employee number, e-name, job, and all those things, yes or no?
Yes.
Now after this, what will happen, guys? What will happen, guys, is we have to import, but here if we use a stored, no, there was an option to import. Okay, so here there is no feature called as import. If we use stored, there is an option to import the data in this particular table. Here I have to import. I cannot import from the file directly now. Okay, so what I have to do is that I will have to go with a software called as stored. So now Toad is not there. I'll show you the Toad software. So this is Toad software. Let me just show you Toad software. This is software Toad. Okay. So this software, what happened, guys? This is having a feature to just click on import. Let me just show you the free trial if it is there. Now, guys, all the three approaches I have told you. First approach was approach 1, when there is a table to table validation, count minus null duplicate. Excel approach 2, source is Excel, target is Excel, Excel to Excel validation. Approach 3, source is file and target is file to file validation. Approach 4, when source is file and target is database, what I can do, I can copy all those things into Excel, and I can do Excel to Excel validation. This is one approach. Next approach, I can compare the file to file validation using beyond compare tool. Next approach, I can create a temporary table, and then then after creating the temporary table, I can load the data from the file into the temporary table. Now source is table, target is table. I can do the target to target comparison. Did you understood this much? Tell me yes or no. Guys, tell me yes or no.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So all these approaches, please remember.